Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I am Kim Singleton, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage plays featuring African Americans up front and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these programs and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today, I am so excited to discuss the new movie that came out, Michael, about the life of Michael Jackson.
Just have all these songs in my head. Just gotta get them out.
You wanna stay alive, better do what you can, so beat it, just beat it. I love you. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on, for the force don't stop.
I'm just getting started.
I said you wanna be starting something.
There's no one like you.
Got to be starting something.
This is what I was put on earth to do.
And mother always told me.
I knew you were different the moment you were born. You let your light shine into the world. You are the greatest of all time.
And to help me discuss this, I have my friend, my historian, my all-in-all commentator on everything, Glenn Gilliam. Welcome, Glenn.
So happy to be here with you, Kim. Needless to say, I broke these out of hiding, my Michael Jackson mirrored glasses, which I should have brought these to the screening. It was really, anyway. No, very excited to be here, and I'm excited about talking about this movie.
Oh, good, good, good. So first of all, overall, fist up or fist down on the movie?
Oh, two fists up.
Two fists up. Two fists up, yes. So before we start talking about the movie and all the things we liked about it, let's just talk a little bit about the controversy that was around it. One of the things is that it did not address the sexual abuse allegations by Michael Jackson. And the response from a lot of interviews that I saw was that it only went up to 1988 before those allegations came to light. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only thing that's relevant is the fact that the first allegations weren't made until 1993, and then the big case that came about in 2005. So there really isn't any opportunity to address those things prior to. And once again, I just think that there is a group of folks who have an agenda, and they present it regardless. I still have no idea of what his daughter, quote unquote, his daughter, Princess or whatever her name is. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Paris. She did post something on social media saying that she didn't have anything to do with it, and she didn't really approve of the film because she thought it was not accurate, and she thought, she alluded to the fact that people wanted to make money off of it.
I recently, obviously after seeing the movie, I saw a little clip of hers, and quite honestly, she was looking like Britney Spears before she went into rehab. I mean, she's just kind of all over the place, seeming, I know she's supposed to be off drugs, but she seemed a little bit loosey-goosey. And granted, her whole argument was about the fact that this was a bunch of lies. Now, clearly she wasn't born in 1956 or wasn't part of the 60s or 70s. So all of that growth that Michael Jackson and his family did, she has no idea of what that is except for what has been told to her. So I'm not sure if what she's saying are lies, but the truth of the matter is they are going to do a subsequent film. There is going to be a sequel, and I'm assuming it is going to cover more of the years that may be in question.
But overall, I think this film was for Michael Jackson fans. Because if you were a Michael Jackson fan, you love this movie, which I am. I have been a Michael Jackson fan since I was a little girl. I used to want to marry Michael Jackson, then Marlon, and then, when he got older, I was like, he don't need to be my husband, but I still like his music. Tell us about your your memory of the Jackson 5 when you were growing up?
Ooh, boy, I tell you. The biggest memory is when they were on Ed Sullivan, because that was the big show on Sunday nights, and the family gathered around, as we did for anybody black who came on with a positive image. But the Jacksons were a mind blower. I mean, that was just. I mean, my family loves music, and we had our little singing things that we did on Friday nights, and so anytime somebody musically came on, or anybody, of course, of substance, were on any of these shows. And Ed Sullivan, I don't know if you've seen his documentary recently, but that's a great documentary to talk about all the elevation he gave to black artists. But yeah, when they came on Ed Sullivan, as kids, literally, that was the first real memory of, the Jackson 5. Then the cartoons, I remember those.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the cartoon. They had the Jackson 5 cartoon. And me and my little brother used to get into it because back then it wasn't any DVR, you tape. It was like, we only had one TV, and we had this bet one time where, like, whoever got up the earliest, right, could watch what they wanted. Because my brother wasn't really into Michael Jackson. And so he got up before me, and I was mad. I was like, I still want to see the Jackson 5. So I can't remember what happened, because I think my father stepped in because we were about to come to blows. But I do believe I watched the Michael Jackson. I mean, I used to love that cartoon and everything, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about the cartoon is it was really an exact caricature of the costumes that they wore, which were just hip and modern. And the amazing part is, I don't know if his mother was still making their costumes, but it was just perfection, because they took exactly what those guys were wearing on stage and put it in the cartoon. And their synchronized steps and all of it, it was perfect.
I did want to just kind of highlight the things that I wish could have been in there. I understand, Janet had her reasons for not being in there, but for the people who were in there, I did want a little more texture to it. Like, for instance, LaToya was in a lot of the scenes. She was visible. LaToya? Yeah, you could tell she had the little thing wrapped around her head. Yeah.
She looked Hispanic in that movie. I don't know what.
But the thing is, I remember back in the day, she used to kick up a lot of dust. So I was curious as to what her relationship was with Michael, with all that. Because I distinctly remember her mother, Catherine, getting on TV, calling her a liar, and she was like, I'll tell you to her face she's a liar. And I was like, ooh, what's going on in that family?
Well, so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it would have been nice to see a little more of the relationship Michael had with LaToya, because you really don't know. You heard about the controversy, but they could have been getting along coochie crunch. So I really wanted to see that piece of it.
Well, I tell you, and even with the other brothers, I mean, there just wasn't a lot of, like the fact that at the point where obviously they're going to have to move on without Michael, bringing in Randy to be a part of the Jacksons again, just all of the things that went on. I mean, they talked about it. Obviously, Colman Domingo playing Joe Jackson talks about, hey, when Jermaine decided to stay at Motown with Berry Gordy's daughter, we're moving on. We're doing, we're doing us without him. And you just didn't hear a lot of the interplay between the brothers, which I think, would have been nice to get a little more of their personalities, as they interacted with Michael, because he was a different cat. He loved the animals. He had, so many different things that he was kind of, you would say, childlike things that he was preoccupied with. And the brothers were playing basketball and doing their thing. So it would have been nice to see a little bit more dialogue, interaction with them. Obviously, the main thrust was kind of between him and Joe. And once again, I think I mentioned to you this off camera. I thought Nia Long did a good job for the amount of lines she had. I mean, it wasn't a lot.
But she did good, and she looked like her too.
And she I thought she represented Kate really well.
Now, in terms of the interaction with him and his brothers, it was a short movie, but I feel like, remember this series, I think it's called Jackson's The American Dream? I
Yeah,
think
sure.
that series did an excellent job in terms of
Yes.
fleshing out everybody's role. And maybe they thought, okay, that's been done before. We're just going to focus on Michael's performance and his music so people can enjoy that experience of Michael. So when I look at it from that point of view, I'm like, okay, you know, if we want to get all the nitty gritty, we can go back to the series and see, because they did a great job on the series and just kind of laying it out. And there was more time because it was a series.
Exactly.
But, you know, that could have been it. But yeah, in the movie, it was like, I couldn't even like determine, okay, which one is Tito, which one is Jackie, because their personalities or their stories really didn't come out. They were just like, you know, decorations in the back, really.
Well, they had that one brother with the mustache. I was like, who's he supposed to be? I didn't.
I think, wasn't he supposed to be Randy? Didn't Randy have a mustache? He was doing the worm.
Randy was the youngest. He couldn't be the.
Oh, well, it depends on what part of the movie you're talking about. But I know Randy used to get up there. Him and Marlon used to do the, you know, worm. Back in the day, we thought that was like, oh my God, that's so sexy. Now we're like, okay.
No, yeah. I mean, and the interesting part of it is, of course, Joe Jackson is painted as he is a hard taskmaster, all of that, driving them maybe beyond the necessary limits. But you know, that one line that he said, look, you want to grow up working in the steel mills like I had to? I mean, Gary, Indiana was not the place to be as a black family under the working class banner. Gary, Indiana had a pretty nasty reputation. Indiana in general, unfortunately. Actually, I think between that and Tennessee, I think that's where the Klan was born. But you know, there's definitely a lot of racial tension in Indiana, and Gary was no different. But yeah, I thought, you know, Michael is, you know, he's one of one. He's such an extraordinary talent from so young to. You know,
It was
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also want to talk about the other character that I wish they would have, you know, developed a little more, given more texture, and that was Bill Bray. Bill Bray, because I wasn't aware of who he was. He was played by Kellen Durrell Jones, who looks a lot like the actual Bill Bray. And he was Michael's security from when he was a child to an adult. So you saw him present in the movie, but I felt like, okay, what kind of relationship did they have? Were they more like buddies? Was he more like a father figure? Was he, you know, did he have a crush on Michael? I don't know. But I would have liked. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. I would have liked to see that relationship kind of flushed out, because now that I know he existed, and me as a Michael Jackson fan, I had never heard of Bill Bray before. So.
Well, I'm sorry. Can I just say the interesting part of that was there was one section where he, you know, says, "Hey, Bill, let's go, let's just drive." He wanted to get out of the house because he had just had that run-in with Joe, and Bill kind of gives him that bit of advice, that wisdom, and, you know, telling him it's time to move out. It's time to, you know, if you want to be this solo career, if you want to do what you want to do on your own, it's probably time to leave. And then Michael says, hey, you know, I'm not ready for that just yet. But yeah, I'm surprised actually that I don't know of any of the Bill Bray interviews, if he ever done any. You know, Vlad has been doing all this stuff. You have all these, obviously, social media outlets who've done so many interviews with the influencers and different, you know, pop star lives. I've never seen anything about Bill Bray. I've never heard him speak.
Yeah, I think he passed in, I think I read 2007. I could be wrong, but yeah, he's not with us anymore. Yeah.
But the
And you know what? He was a good friend, and he was just one of those
Really?
friends who's just not going to say anything, which is a true friend, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that is so critical because that was obvious in picking his representation. When he picks Miles Teller as John Braca at that meeting, he had to trust you. I mean, he had to feel that, you know, you were going to be somewhat loyal, and more importantly, on the same page with him in what he wanted to pursue. So Bill obviously filled that, you know, for him for a very long time. And it's just a shame we weren't able to hear a little bit more. And who knows, maybe in this sequel, maybe we will hear a little bit more about that relationship, because apparently it lasted probably until Bill passed on, potentially.
So let's talk about, some of the actors that played in there. The young Michael was played by Juliano Valdi. I thought he did a great job. He did a great job. And what I learned, because you had asked me this before about did he sing, and I said no, because it sounded just like Michael. Me being a Michael Jackson fan, I know what his voice sounds like. But I was reading somewhere where they actually had the young man sing and they blended the voices. And I was like, oh, wow. That was good, because it was a scene in there where he's recording, what's that song? Still Loving You? When? Yeah. And they stripped away the instrumentals, and it was just his voice, and it gave you chills, but it sounded exactly like Michael. And I was like, he was really, really, really talented to be able to belt that out at such a young age. Just voice control, hitting those notes. There's very rare that you hear people sing and like the hairs on your arm or the back of your neck stand up, but that's, how it was. So I felt like Juliano did a great job in portraying Michael as a young boy.
Yeah, and that's super difficult. I mean, anybody who's seen MJ the Musical, anybody who's seen, those other depictions, those series, finding those young actors who can sing and dance, all the, obviously, emulation of James Brown's moves and working on those, and just you've got to be a triple threat. And obviously I know we're going to talk about Jaafar, because he did his thing. But let's talk about the Berry Gordy, played by Lorenz Tate. I just love me some Lorenz Tate. Like, I just love him. I remember when he was in The Postman with Kevin Costner as a little boy, I was like, I just love Lorenz Tate. But I think he embodied Berry Gordy, because I saw on social media on his page, because I follow him, he had pictures of Berry and pictures of himself playing Berry. And it was like, you go. Yeah, he embodied, even though he doesn't look exactly like him, he just, just his aura, he captured everything. So I thought he did a good job, even though he wasn't a big piece of the entire movie. It was significant, and he was good. Yeah, huge piece of the movie, because that obviously moved them to Hollywood, that moved them to LA. Suzanne DePass, her card saying she was a creative consultant, I think it was, on her business card when she connected with Joe. Yeah, I mean, there was, I like the fact, obviously, they gave kind of Gladys Knight her props, because she really discovered them. It wasn't Diana Ross.
Yeah, and us fans, we know that. They used Diana Ross just to put them, because Diana Ross was such a star, just to kind of put them out there. But everybody, all our fans, we know Gladys Knight was the person. Yeah.
No, I thought that, that scene, I wish it had been a little bit longer. It was nice, but I thought the interplay there was cool. Suzanne DePass, didn't have a lot, but her interaction with Barry, I mean, what are you going to say? You've got the superstar talent of a generation in front of you, and he's hitting these notes, and, once he got him to stop dancing while he was trying to sing the recording booth, because Michael had to keep moving those feet. But no, it was, look.
Yeah. Yeah, it made me think.
Music.
Yeah, it made me think of, like, I'm a fan. I know I've seen everything, but they have this. It's a video out there of the Jackson 5 audition tape when they're doing it in Motown, when he's singing, baby, 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 and he's like doing the James Brown. I was just like, okay. So when they were like, stop moving around, it made me think of that audition tape, because he was just back and forth doing the James Brown. He was just so super talented, so super talented. Yeah.
It was very, I think, like I say, the chronology of it, of course, showing all that, and then just trying to show those pieces of Michael's personality and kind of how alone he was, even when the other kids, the other brothers were playing outdoors or with other people. He was, reading his Peter Pan book and, interacting with his toys or what have you. It's just, it's a real kind of examination of what that greatness kind of portends in the sense of you're going to kind of be alone a lot.
Yeah,
And,
he didn't have the opportunity for a childhood because he was a superstar as a child.
Super.
So you couldn't really go outside and play because, like, all the other girls like me would have been clamoring at him, I want to marry you, blah, blah, blah. And he always played that little brother within the family. So he never had the opportunity to really grow up. And I think, when he became older, he identified with young people, not understanding that as an adult, there's certain things that you can't do with young people. So there wasn't that, I don't think there was a transition. That's just my analysis of it. So, I feel sorry for him in that sense, that he wasn't able to.
And no question, and look, I believe with a lot of folks who did have access to him, whether it was Eddie Griffin or, just other stars who were able to be in his orbit, obviously Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these folks describe him as just pure love. I mean, this is a guy who really came from a place of compassion and wanted to do things that brought people together, that, he really thought music, of course, was the universal language. And the bottom line is, and granted, they highlighted his goodwill stuff, obviously, visiting with the kids in the hospital, all those important things, which he did. But like I say, I think it's unfortunate, given all of the madness we all know about with all these other, Hollywood influences on a wrong side, of course, with assaults and different things. Like I say, I choose to believe that his interaction was from a good place, and he just wanted that bond and that friendship that he couldn't necessarily get or trust from adults. I mean, everybody wanted to use him, and I understand why he sought the innocence of children as more comforting and something more comfortable to deal with. Anyway.
But on the other side of that, I do want to talk about him being a shrewd businessman, because he understood the marketing potential of being on MTV, and he was like, I don't care if you don't have black people on there, you're going to have me on there. And he basically was a pioneer, opening the door for other people of color to be on MTV. So I'm really glad that was brought out in the movie.
Yeah, and it still blows my mind that, even as late as the 70s and 80s, we had to lobby and advocate for rap music and for artists as huge as Michael Jackson to be on these mainstream shows, which is insanity considering the incredible success of Motown and so many great artists who were influential around the world. I mean, it just,
It's crazy. Racism is alive and kicking in America. Okay? But I love when, I always think Michael was a shrewd businessman when he acquired, I think it was ATV that housed the Beatles catalog. So what I read was that Paul McCartney had suggested, you need to buy catalogs, So he went and he outbid him in getting that Beatles catalog. I mean, that was amazing, because catalogs like the Beatles, that's money that keeps on coming and coming and coming in perpetuity. It was like, I got the money, I'm gonna buy it. Oh well, bye Felicia.
Well, I mean, look, Michael was, number one, the idea and it's conveyed in the movie in that one scene when he's meeting with CBS and all of these lawyers around and everybody's suit and tied up and everything. You got kind of the older guys, and then you got Miles Teller there as John Branca, and he's like, yeah, I understand you. I know exactly where you're coming from. You want to be the biggest star on the planet, bar none. And that's how you have to think. I mean, the mere fact that Michael could say, hey, all's good as long as I beat Prince.
I know, that was funny. That was funny. Yeah.
But it's amazing genius versus genius, and we're blessed to have had both. So.
Yeah. Well, we're talking down on time, but I do want to really kind of talk about Jaafar Jackson's performance. We know that Nia Long was a great Katherine Jackson, and of course Colman Domingo landed it as Joe Jackson. You know, you looked at the screen and you believed that that's who they were. But Jaafar, my goodness.
Okay. Look, I was scared of Joe. But yeah.
Yeah, and I saw Jaafar in another interview where he said it took him 2 years to prepare for this role. And he really nailed it. And, you know, a lot of the scenes that we know that are iconic, like when they did the Motown celebration,
Exactly.
you know, everybody knows that because we watched it over and over again, as well as Thriller. It was like he was duplicating the steps frame by frame, shot by shot. And it was difficult, but he landed it. And I've seen a lot of things on social media where they show Michael's original performance up against Jaafar's, and it's like he landed it.
Mirror image. The amazing part for me was the fact that Jaafar said, I had no interest in acting or singing. That wasn't where he was going at the time that this project presented itself. And he had to literally, even with all the genes that flowed in his body, he wasn't necessarily trying to be an actor or singer or performer in that respect. And to really go from zero to that, I mean, look.
Yeah, talented. That talent
Super.
was passed down. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well,
Jaafar, I'm sorry, Jaafar is Jermaine's son, right?
yeah, Jafar is Jermaine's son. Yeah, yeah. Well, we are tick-tocking down on time, and as you can see, yes, Glenn and I thoroughly enjoyed Michael. When you see the movie, you're going to come out dancing. I mean, don't stop till you get enough, keep up with the fuss, don't stop. I mean, it just reminded me of when I went to see him in concert years and years ago. So if you're a Michael fan, if you love his music, you will enjoy this movie. Go see Michael. It's in theaters now. And until next time, everyone, consider yourself Blacklit. Thank you.